It's the year 5. The place we now consider Germany is nothing more than a loose patchwork of tribes, each fiercely independent, and each absolutely allergic to being controlled by foreign powers. But down south, the Romans are scheming. They want to expand north into this place that they call Germania. In the year 9, 3 of their legions reach the Teutoburg forest. They are immediately ambushed by a coalition of Germanic tribes. The Romans are shocked. These barbarians are more capable than they thought. Far more capable. Centuries pass, Rome falls, Europe reshuffles. Out of the chaos rises the Franks, a Germanic tribe with a bit more ambition than the rest. Under Charlemagne, they build a massive kingdom which dominates Western Europe, and for a brief moment, it looks like the Germanic world might finally be forming a larger political identity. But then Charlemagne perishes. His empire fractures and the eastern half evolves into one of the strangest political creations in history, the Holy Roman Empire. This unholy alliance ain't Roman though, and barely functions as an empire. Instead, it's a loose collection of duchies, bishoprics, city-states, and principalities, each with their own laws, traditions, armies, and egos. Nonetheless, just prior to the turn of the first millennium, under King Otto I, this hodgepodge is somehow operating as the most dominant Western power in Europe. And as such, the Pope is looking to them as the protectors of the Catholic Church and thus rightful heirs to the Roman crown. This is going to be Germany for the next 900 years or so, and despite the fragmentation, it's going to produce thriving trade cities, rich cultural centres, and some of Europe's earliest universities. But true unity, that's still a fantasy. And now, what's this? A monk is hammering a document onto a church door. He should probably stop. He's going to set the loose collection of duchies, city-states, and principalities on fire. The year is 1517. The empire is aging poorly, and now a match has been lit because Martin Luther, a monk in Saxony, has just challenged the Catholic Church's practices, and in doing so triggered the birth of a new branch of Christianity, Protestantism. German princes seize the moment. They use Luther's ideas to assert independence. Entire regions change faith. Alliances shift overnight. The empire splits into 2 camps, Catholic and Protestant. Neither side is willing to take a backward step. Tensions simmer, treaties fail. What follows is an inevitability. War. A 30 years war to be exact. It's a conflict that's so devastating that some regions lose a third of their people. When it finally ends in 1648, the empire still exists on paper, but real power is scattered amongst its hundreds of microstates, each doing their own thing once again. And so Germany, as it always has, remains a place unanchored and uncentered. But not for long, because up north, a stronghold is forming. This is Prussia. It's unique, distinct from other Germanic states. A disciplined, centralized, military efficient state that values punctuality and order. Sound familiar? Under rulers like Frederick the Great, Prussia builds a modern bureaucracy, formidable army, and a culture that treats punctuality as if it's their religion. Meanwhile, way down south, the Habsburgs of Austria command a stronghold of their own. By this point, Vienna has long been the aristocratic centre to the Holy Roman Crown. As such, their land is everything that Prussia's not. Catholic, ceremonial, and deeply traditional. And so here we are. It's the late 18th century, and we've got 2 heavyweights preparing to trade jabs in a rapidly changing political climate. You see, beyond the borders of this potpourri of pseudo-Romans, some major European powers are starting to take their modern form. France has centralized into a semi-nation state. Britain has consolidated parliamentary rule. In comparison, the HRE is a relic. And Germanic intellectuals are starting to take notice. A single question is being posited, this one right here. It's just a thought experiment right now, not a call to action, but a diminutive Frenchman is about to change all of that. And that Frenchman? Yeah, it's this guy. We're in the early 1800s now, and Napoleon has dreams of dominating Europe. In 1805, he beats the Habsburgs on their home patch at Austerlitz, and in doing so deals the fragmented HRE a fatal blow. But this isn't the end of the German world. Because whilst Napoleon's spark burns bright, it also burns fleetingly. Within a decade, the Frenchman himself will be put to another man's sword. Politically speaking, of course. But before that happens, he will force the German states into something far more dangerous than submission. Self-reflection. Right now, the German world looks something like this. The micro-kingdoms are relics. Most have been absorbed into larger states, which themselves are pledging loyalty to France. But despite Napoleon's control, 10 years isn't long enough to Francify the Germans. It is long enough, however, to catalyze this concept. Because when a foreign power taxes your towns and conscripts your sons for their foreign wars, the petty local feuds that defined your history begin to take a back seat. Let's fast forward to Napoleon's fall. It's 1815. A coalition led by Great Britain and Prussia dismantles his empire. In its place emerges the German Confederation, which is dozens of states loosely bound under Austrian leadership. It's awkward, conservative, and unstable, but it preserves the streamlined political landscape unintentionally created by Napoleon. And because people have already begun imagining a shared cultural identity, the idea of a single German nation no longer feels impossible. But to turn the idea of Germany into a political reality, it will take someone ruthless and calculating. And that someone is about to step onto the stage. Enter Otto von Bismarck, Prussia's iron-willed chancellor. Bismarck doesn't pursue unity through idealism though, he engineers it through realpolitik. First, a war with Denmark, not for conquest, but for legitimacy. By defending the German-speaking territories of Schleswig and Holstein, Prussia presents itself as the protector of German interests. Then, a war with Austria. Short, decisive, and carefully limited. This ain't a war to destroy Austria, but to remove it from German affairs entirely. And so when Prussia wins in 1866, this old question is settled. But southern Germany remains defiant. It's not too surprising. The Catholic-Protestant divide, after all, remains a sticking point. And well, they don't much respect Prussian authority. So Bismarck engineers one final war. This time with France. He provokes Napoleon III into declaring war and in doing so activates a defense pact forcing the Southerners into action. In other words, the Prussian cause is now a German cause. For the first time, the North and the South are fighting together against a common enemy. The battle goes swimmingly. They beat France in 1871 and shortly after, the German Empire is announced. This, guys, is myth building 101. It's a stunning transition. Germany started as a fragmented mosaic just a few decades ago, and now it's a rapidly industrializing powerhouse. But the speed of this rise will lead to friction in Europe. By the early 20th century, Germany's rapid transformation puts it on a collision course with Europe's major powers. Tensions escalate, alliances tangle, and in 1914, World War I erupts. The German Empire ends up on the losing side. The Kaiser abdicates and the empire collapses. From the wreckage emerges the Weimar Republic, a fragile democracy saddled with impossible challenges. Hyperinflation, political extremism, and a society fracturing under the weight of defeat. Amidst the chaos, nostalgia for the lost empire devolves into resentment. The many young men who'd fought for the empire are looking for someone to blame, but more importantly, they're looking for someone to restore their wounded pride. And that someone they find. His name is Adolf. He is going to seize control of the Republic, plunge it into dictatorship, and spearhead efforts to recapture what was lost. Oh, and in the process, he's going to commit some of the most horrific crimes against humanity that the world has ever witnessed. Take a look at this map. It's Nazi Germany in 1939. Now look at it 3 years later. The expansion is staggering, a catastrophe for Europe, but also fundamentally unsustainable. The Nazis have overextended themselves, fighting brutal wars on both their western and their eastern fronts. The result is inevitable. The occupied territories are clawed back by the Allies, but then Germany itself is taken. The Nazi regime is extinguished and the country is split into two. It's an awkward split. West Germany, supported by Western democracy, quickly develops into a prosperous economic powerhouse. East Germany, meanwhile, as a Soviet constituent, struggles to develop at the same rate. And so for almost half a century, Germany lives a double life. Two governments, two ideologies, two futures. And all that separates them is a concrete wall bisecting Berlin. But it's the 1980s now, and the Soviets are on the verge of total collapse. And without the manpower or resources to legitimize it, that concrete wall is nothing more than, well, concrete. And so in 1989, the Berlin Wall falls, peacefully. East Germans pour across the border. West Germans reclaim land that they were once familiar. And that's where we're at today. Germany remains unified as a modern Western democracy. What the future holds, we'll just have to wait and see. as Germany once again navigates its place at the centre of Europe.